And finally, at number 1, the best of the best. A rifle which has become an icon of the 20th century as both a symbol of freedom and oppression.
Kalashnikov, AK47. Type, semi or fully automatic assault rifle. Country of origin, Soviet Union. Caliber, 7.62 by 39 millimeter. Cartridge capacity, 30 rounds. Muzzle velocity, 2,329 feet per second. Rate of fire, 600 rounds per minute.
If I had to go to a planet, an unknown planet, and I was allowed to take one firearm, it would be an AK-47. When Western civilization melts down, I want an AK-47.
The AK-47 is the Lord of War. It probably caused the most death of any single weapon system produced ever.
When you feel that click, you know you got 30 rounds of rock and roll.
With over 50 million built worldwide, the AK-47 is a firearms legend. Its designer was Mikhail Kalashnikov. A Soviet tank sergeant, he devised the weapon while recovering from wounds sustained on the Eastern Front in World War II.
As he's recuperating in hospital, he comes up with the idea for a self-loading rifle. And in 1947, it is approved as the new small arm for the Russian infantry, hence its designation AK-47, Automatic Kalashnikov 1947 pattern.
Built on the same principles as the German Sturmgewehr, it chambered an intermediate round and was built from stamped parts. Easy to produce and relatively cheap, the AK-47 looked clumsy. But when tested, it was supremely reliable. And to soldiers, that reliability meant something.
What can you do to an AK-47 to make it stop firing? Not a whole lot. Maybe drive over with a tank.
The AK, you can bury it in sand, you can bury it in mud, you can abuse it to the degree where it's covered with rust and it will still work. That weapon is going to keep you alive.
Cleaning the AK-47 was also easy.
You pop off the machinery cover. There's the guts. They're real simple. You don't need Q-tips. You can use your finger and a towel, a rag. I saw Afghans clean their AK-47s. They just tie their bootlaces into a multiple of knots, dip them in motor oil, and yank them through the barrel. And that was clean enough.
But what made the AK-47 a universal killing machine was the ease with which soldiers could be trained to use it. In the 1950s and 60s, the AK-47 became synonymous with Western fears of a massed Soviet invasion in Eastern Europe.
The AK-47's largest use, perhaps, was in the Vietnam War. Large numbers of AK-47s from the Soviet Union were provided to the North Vietnamese Army and to the Viet Cong.
The AK-47 went head-to-head with the American M16 and emerged on the winning side.
During the Cold War, the Russians would underwrite just about anybody who would say, oh, yeah, we're socialist. We hate the United States. They would throw Kalashnikovs at them. And so we have Kalashnikovs everywhere.
If there's a single thing that represents the heyday of Soviet revolutionary expansionism, it is the AK-47. It becomes, next to Che Guevara's image on the high school student's t-shirt, the iconic image of the 1960s and 70s. It is everywhere. It's on the flag of a country, of Mozambique, because it was so central in their revolution.
And so Americans have grown up seeing the AK-47 as the bad guy's gun. People don't like the looks of the AK. It's an ugly gun. You can't picture John Wayne carrying an AK-47. Would he carry one? Probably. He was a practical man.
In 1974, the Kalashnikov was updated. The AK-74 fired a 5.45 millimeter cartridge and had a longer effective range of 550 yards. A muzzle brake was also added, giving it a slightly greater overall length than the AK-47. 3 decades later, it has survived the disintegration of communism to remain the Russian gun of choice.
The Russian military still uses the weapon and is still product testing newer versions of the same weapon. They may put newer stocks on it and try to make some small improvements, but it's still the same action that the Soviet tank sergeant designed at the end of World War II.
Along with the AK-47, the AK-74 has continued to pop up in small wars, terrorist attacks, and criminal activity worldwide. The AK-47 is an indestructible, universal killing machine. Hardly surprising, then, that it scores top marks for combat effectiveness. Handling is excellent. Service length is excellent. Innovation is excellent. Accuracy is average, but the Kalashnikov compensates for this with its ability to unleash a lethal wall of lead.